Hey, Eric Soto with SotoTarot.com and A1R Radio and Moonstruck TV. It's great to see you again this month. We're in May, so it's the 1st of May. Isn't that awesome? So I get to kick it off for the month with all the other stars on this program as well. So a good thing that just happened here, and I'll share it to you before we get any callers in. Just got in with my favorite metaphysical shop, Real Live Metaphysical in Cedar Rapids. Hi, everyone. We did a little tarot go around, and I always learn something. If you've been in tarot the longest that I have, over 30 years, you learn that you don't know everything. And as we drove around and then we did our little tarot card swaps, we went and did this little program where you take a card out and you read. Each person takes a card out, has something that they have an inspiration for or a question for, and then they pass it down the line. And everybody who came around, believe it or not, I keep talking about this crazy thing like connections, right? How we're connected, that it's not the magical cards necessarily, it's the connections that we have psychically. And science every day is explaining that, how we're connected on a quantum field. But long and the short, we went around and some people didn't even know the decks we were using. Some people weren't really very adept at reading tarot or even being in this type of situation. So we had different levels, we had different ages, we had male, female. I think I was only male in the group, but it doesn't matter. But the idea of that we all were able to read very differently, different perspectives of the same card read for the same person. It's very interesting how it still comes around and still is right. As a collective, we still had the whole story. I think I've heard different versions of this. There could be 10 people in the room, right? And everybody sees a red ball on the table, a white table. And then they ask you, describe a few paragraphs of what you see. And some people write about the red ball. It's very round, it's very red, it's in the middle of a white table. And other people will go beyond that. They'll say there are how many people in the room and what they're wearing. And other people will talk about the scents in the room or the sounds in the room or the feeling of anxiety or happiness in the room. You'll get 10 different perspectives is what I'm saying. But again, they're all correct and they're all making the whole. So it was interesting. Thanks for inviting me over at the Real Live. We had the Tea and Tarot. I'll give you a little shout out again. They do it in Cedar Rapids every first Thursday of the month. And today was the first. We just happened to be doing it. And there's always something to learn. It's nothing about the cards. The more we sit, it's more about the connections. It's more about how we learn from each other of how we see the world differently. We're in the same room, same card, different ideas of what it means, but ultimately reading for the same person, still very true and very much of what that person needs to hear. So I like to share that because there's always something that happens in real life. It's not just all spirituality, right? Spirituality is real life. There's, we have to pay our taxes and we have to go to work and we have to do our family thing and what have you. But there are times where if you sit back and look how much we are the same, as much as we think we're different, we're very much the same. And that's pretty much the message that I like to share, that the connections that we have, the longer you do this, the more you understand. And other people here on this program will say the same thing. We're very connected in so many ways. Australia's out there, UK's out there, the United States and Canada, and all around the world. It doesn't matter the distance. We're still quantumly entangled. We're spiritually entangled, and we still have that connection. Funny thing with also that I noticed too, that we had someone during the reading here where I had my cards go around, which is interesting because they don't have words or anything on them, right? They're just pictures. And still, I think I know I'm the creator of my own deck, right? I keep talking about I made my deck in 2015. I had a 4-day vision. This was a big deal. I still use them today. But I had 10 different, or we didn't have 10 people, but the people at the table, we had different perspectives that I have never heard of before. This looks like an X-ray. This looks like a fish. This looks like a beetle. This looks like, but again, the message was still correct. And the message still helped me of a question that I had. So very interesting that even that I couldn't deal with the tarot decks that were out there at the day. So I had to make my own. Still people are reading into my deck and saying that, yes, you might be the author of this, but you're not ultimately the user, and the users are all of us. I have Lynn in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia. How are you, Lynn?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing fabulous. And good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know it's probably a way different time over there, but I'm very happy that you're
Good
online
morning
today.
still.
Good morning. Good. That's what I like to hear. It's nighttime here, but it's nice to hear that it's morning there. So we can do this a lot of different ways. If you've seen my program or you haven't seen my program, I can pull a card. We can do a question specifically. It is a G-rated program, so we don't want to get too deep, but I'm very happy to connect in any way, which way you wish to.
I just want a general reading thing.
That's exactly
there's
fine.
no question. Just, yeah.
That's the best time, because ultimately, when we don't know a question, we actually do have a question. We just don't know that we have a question. So I like to say, for those playing at home, this is reversed, and this is a High Priestess card reversed. It looks like a crystal ball with a lot of different, if I can get it right, a lot of different colors inside, and there's a shadow on top. So the High Priestess is our inner soul. That's our higher self that we're listening to. Or if you've ever heard, that's your voice in your head, right? Hey, I need to pick up a loaf of bread. Hey, I need to go and do something. That's also your inner self. But on the spiritual side, it's very much the High Priestess card. It's the one that teaches you right from wrong. It's the one that gets you out of that bind when you're not sure if should I do this or should I not do this. And when there's a shadow on the side here, it just means we haven't been listening to ourselves enough. We know, and a lot of people may or may not agree with me, but believe it or not, you know you better than anybody, including your parents, including your lover, including, well, your pet, who thinks they know you, right? They come around all the time and chase you. But you know you more than you, and especially your higher self knows you and will always try to teach you or try to reach out to you, whether in dreams, whether in symbols, or whether in just in daily life, and lead you along. You usually have those aha moments when, oh, this is a time that I should be going this way. I should take that job. I should go with that person and marry that person. I have that feeling inside, that gut feeling. That's the High Priestess. So I'll go back on there and I'll build on that for a minute. You don't have to say yes or no or maybe, but you can if you wish. But this is telling me that there's a time here that maybe you just weren't listening a little bit to yourself. And again, reversed is the Five of Pentacles. And it's telling me that there is a path for you. There's a question going on, and there's always a question of, should I have gone this way or that, or should I have chosen that path? And the Five of Pentacles is the physical realm. Fire here in the front of a curtain and a cool cave in the back. So there is always a way out. There is always a path forward in the physical sense. But sometimes, not that we're hard-headed or we just don't listen, we think maybe that we second guess ourselves, and then later on we kick ourselves in the head and go, why did I not listen to myself? I should have gone with that gut feeling. Has that happened to you recently, or are you going through that exactly right now?
Yes, I am going through that right now.
Okay, so this is where the teaching part is. You know you better. I'm not saying anything specific. You're connecting here in Australia in a beautiful morning, hopefully. I'm here in Midwestern Iowa. That's, the middle of nowhere toward the end of evening. But it's you saying that I wasn't sure if I should really be thinking about. I know the answer to this certain circumstance. Other people may be telling you what to do. There might be second guessing on your end, but ultimately you already had that gut feeling. You already had that idea of saying, I am the hermit, my best teacher. I am that teacher on the mountain up above of the highest rooftop or the highest mountain looking above. I have the best perspective is what the hermit card means. It's a teacher card. And what did I say earlier? You are your best teacher. So if you're fumbling around with an answer right now and you're not quite sure, should I have done this? Should I have not done this? Do I feel regret for this? Which way? I'm going to say this, and I say this anyway. A good tarot reading or any kind of oracle reading, psychic reading, is always going to be something you already knew. Problem is, I didn't know, but you knew it, and you're just looking for that connection of someone understanding where you're coming from. Maybe locally, you're just not getting people to agree with you, and that happens. And sometimes it's not that only we're not getting agreement to, as this said in reverse, it's the Judgment card. We're getting judged based on, again, do you really know? Do you understand the situation, Lynn? Are you really sure you know yourself? And the answer still is always yes. We may make mistakes. There might be consequences for the mistakes, but ultimately there's reasons for our choices and why we choose that. So I'm going to ask you to stick to your guns a little bit here. If you've already made that and say it's okay that you chose that way, that something will come of it, But if you're still in the middle of that right now, because it still feels fresh, it's okay to choose that gut feeling to go for it. You're going to get a little bit of friction. You're going to get a little bit of a judgment, but ultimately you're the teacher. You're the one that knows the higher perspective of, and it could be age, it could be perspective, it could be the circumstance in this situation. Ultimately, you're going to know the best. Is that resonating with you?
Yes, it is.
Was
Very
that part
much.
of was that something kind of in the back of your mind going, I wonder if this is going to come up? I don't know. We never know, right? If you're resonating with it, it's supposed to be that, oh yeah, I knew that. But if we still want to hear that, right? That's why we go to confessional. That's why we go to our best friend's house, and we just talk things out on a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. We want to hear that, did I do the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I being heard? And they say, yes, you're being heard. Most of the time, a good friend doesn't tell you what to do. They usually just say, I hear you and I support you, whatever that is. And that's the support saying, yes, you should be supportive in that. Would you like to ask something specific along those lines?
No, I feel as though I've been validated.
Validated. Okay. Well, how is the weather? I'd like to give you a few seconds here. How's the weather over there? Last time I talked to somebody, Gold Coast, it was horrible.
It was beautiful when I first came on, but it's now becoming overcast. We've had rain off and on, but it's supposed to be going into winter, but it's still very warm.
You know what? I forgot about that. You're in the southern hemisphere. So your winter starts now and our summer starting now in the northern hemisphere. I forgot about that. I'll have to remember that. Maybe it'll be cheap to come around this time when it's winter time. Sure, the tickets are probably dirt cheap to go to Australia at this point.
Probably.
I'll have to remember that.
It's beautiful at the present moment. The temperature is pretty good.
Good. And I'm glad you're validated, right? I like the idea that you didn't ask anything specific. I don't have to know the specifics, nor does anybody on this program, though they may. I'll tell you what, the secret, they're probably listening to see if you're going to say it. But it's good that you know. It's the feeling of being validated to say, well, this guy knew and he was all the way in America, so he must know. It's still not, right? I'm no one and I'm everyone at the same time. It's you. You are the one that's validating. And obviously, if this validates you and gives you a little bit more courage to stand your ground, then so be it. Then I've done my service today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
Thank you.
Again, it's that connection we talk about. I did that little thing in the real life metaphysical shop, right? In Cedar Rapids. Yeah, keep dropping it. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Our friends together, as we were reading each other's cards, no judgment. No one said that there was right or wrong or you had to do this. It was, this is how I'm feeling. This is, I want a good intention for whatever that to come out to be. And whatever that is, everybody that we went around still had the same group intention of the red ball on the white table with so many people in the room. That full picture came out. And as long as that full picture comes out in that reading, that's supposed to be validated, and that's true. I have in Maryland, USA, Phyllis in Parksville. How are you, Phyllis?
Fine, and how are you?
I am very well, and I'm very healthy, and I hope you are too in this evening here in the USA. So if you've been listening, I can read any different way. You can ask a question specifically, or we can go whatever comes up. That is completely up to you. It is your time.
Okay. I have problems with my children. They don't talk to me, and I haven't done anything to them. Now, the one daughter came over for Easter, but I haven't heard from her since. Am I going to hear from her again?
That's a good, valid question. So I made sure I pulled this while you're asking, so then you can actually see what this means. This card here, reversed, happens to be the Four of Cups, and it's reversed. Normally, Four of Cups has to do with the heart, and then normally it has to do with something of being ignored or dissatisfied with. Like, I have plenty here, but it's not enough, or it's not even that it's not enough. It just doesn't suit me anymore, which would be, like you're saying, the daughter not talking to you, but it's reversed. So there is a feeling here of a bug trying to take a big giant fangs and eyes, not evil or anything, just a bug taking a big bite out of life, this big giant apple or what have you this is. That represents a difference. That means there's an attraction or an interest again. So I have a feeling that there is an interest involved in speaking again at some point. And I'm going to pull a second card to make sure that I'm valid here. And here's the issue, since I don't know what exactly happened. The feeling that I'm feeling of is this King of Wands. See, it looks almost like an eye and horns and a smile. Like I call this the golden mug smile. This is the great grandfather that laughs all the time. This coming in here is telling me there is an energy of wanting to connect. There's a want there. There is that feeling of, I want to be family again. I want to be. The problem here is that, again, the action of, again, coming out of that and biting, it's not happened yet. So there's a feeling of maybe forgiveness or being misunderstood, or the feeling of, again, of somebody understanding someone else's perspective first. Now that can be yours and that may be hers, but I know for sure on her side, I'm definitely feeling a want to come back together. And as I show this in reverse, this is your 8 of Wands. These look like arrows that are coming down onto the moon, but they're falling from the sky. It's just a lack of, I don't know if you've ever heard a phrase like, sometimes kids need a kick in the pants. They need a little bit of push. Right. They don't feel like they can just come to you and say, and this has a lot to do with age. I don't know her age here, but it doesn't matter. You can be in your 60s and still not learn it yet. But a lot of it has to do with understanding that, hey, all I have to do, we're family. If I come back and ask for forgiveness, that should be enough, right? If I'm wrong, I should say I'm wrong. If I'm right, maybe sometimes I let for the better opportunity to say I'm not right, and just for the family's sake, come back. That's the feeling of there's a disconnection there, or a feeling of not being accepted. Does that sound complete? There's some kind of, there's a riff there, obviously, but there is a want to come back. There is a feeling of, I want that home. I want to feel like it used to be, but the action part has not happened. And as I tell people, when there's not an action, somebody has to react. Somebody on that side is going to have to make a difference. And if it's not them, you may be still waiting. It may have to be you. It depends on who needs that greater. Now, knowing that situation, knowing that opportunity is there, you have to decide whatever has happened, whatever it is, ultimately, she's still my daughter. And ultimately, this, as this one says, the Knight of Wands. Remember, I had a King of Wands. Now this is the Knight, a younger version of the Wands in the court. A very hot-headed, frowny face, big head of fire. Means sometimes we say things we don't always mean. And it doesn't matter even what the words are. They can be very descriptive. They can be very hurtful, but we really don't mean. That's not the basis of what we actually mean. What we're trying to just be is understood. And sometimes it could have been this situation blew up because her perspective was not heard or validated, and maybe yours wasn't. Here comes the break. But there's still a longing to connect. There's still a longing to want to make this somehow just never have happened, and let's just go back to how we used to be before. So knowing knowledge, this is the tough decision. You are the maker of your own story. Yes, your daughter's in your story, but this is your perspective from your viewpoint and how you want your story to end. Are you going to wait for her to come around? Maybe, or knowing that she might be hurt, that's an advantage. That's on the battle of warfare, or on the battlefield of love and family. Knowing what the other person feels will give you an advantage. And that means, how do I approach this? Do I approach this with a bigger heart and let bygones be bygones? Or maybe I can't completely forget it, but I can forgive. And unfortunately, you made me feel this way, and I made you feel that way. Let's agree to even disagree at some point, but for the sake of the family, for the sake of love, maybe even grandkids involved, or something of that nature, let's let bygones be bygones, because life is short.
Right. Well,
sounds similar.
I invited her over for Easter dinner, and she came over, and we had a nice visit, but I haven't heard from her since.
So there was pleasantries, right? So you went through the pleasantries of the holiday. Is there children involved? Is there grandkids?
Yes.
Okay.
And
So
great grandkids.
there's pleasantries. And if I'm right, this is the tingle feel here. So again, here's that temperance card. And I'm going to show you to you upright. It's not upright, but I'm going to show you to you what it actually looks like. It looks like a face blowing wind beneath the wings of a bat or a dragon or something here. That's what temperance is. Wind beneath my wings, I call this card. Means for temperance, for balance, it's hot and cold. It's anger and love. You're going to have to sometimes ask for forgiveness or ask for assistance, but it's reversed. Again, it's that feeling of wanting to someone to reach the other side. Now, you probably did having them over, but if the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, sometimes they're stubborn. Sometimes they need that a little extra. And that's where I'm going to ask you as the grandmother and ask you as the mother, you may have to go above and beyond. You have to know, knowing this, that she may not be aware of, and she may be going through that for the sake of the kids, for the sake of the family. Maybe I have to go above and beyond. And I'm telling you, I've said this in a program before. It's not that you're wrong or right, but you may have to bow down and say, you know what? I accept that. I see your perspective. I will try not to do that again that way. Maybe I just want to be heard as well, but I completely hear you. And let's still be together as a family. Let's still make sure these grandkids have grandparents. Let's make sure that you still have a mother in your life. I want to be part of this because life is short. That's a lot of knowledge and that's a lot of power to bring back into a situation, knowing that they really, I mean, I've seen people, the very end, push away. I don't want you in my life. I don't want you. And then they're gone and they cry their eyes out saying, I wish we had more time. I wish we'd have been together. I wish. This is even on the other side. This is what other mediums are saying too. This is what other spirits sometimes come. I've connected with my father at one time that wasn't really treating my mother right when she passed early from cancer. And unfortunately, when she passed, he regretted everything. And now that he's on the other side and I actually got to connect to him, that was one of the first things he said is, I'm completely sorry for how I treated your mother. And I would have never, ever put that past him to be that way and say, you actually want forgiveness? You really did wrong. I guess you're seeing the light. We don't want to go to that extreme. The idea, knowing that is, you have to think they don't always know better. It's a different world now. People are texting when they're sitting right next to each other. Phyllis, they're texting each other when they're in the same room. They don't understand. You and I probably grew up where we had long conversations on phones. We went and met each other in person. We had group things together. There were family outings. Sound familiar?
Yep.
They don't do that anymore. That's non-existent.
Not at all.
Kids don't know, even though you raise them, the society and the school don't understand. They hurt and they don't know why they hurt inside. Why am I hurting inside? Why am I not able to connect with my mom? And why are we blowing up like this? And sometimes they need a teacher, somebody that's higher up, to come up and say, you know what? I'm going to show you how to do it. Sometimes you just cut your losses, and this is more important. I want the grandkids to learn a lesson here. I want you to learn a lesson, and I'm learning a lesson along the way. This is more important. So yes, good idea that you brought them over to the Easter meal, right? That's a good reaching olive branch. But ultimately, they are a page of wands. They are a child. They have all this energy at their feet and none in their head. They have no experience. It's all potential. They don't know what to do with it because they haven't gone through it. She may still be a new mother. How many kids did you have?
I had 4. I'm 74 years old.
And she's had how many?
She's had 4.
Okay, so there you go. But she's also at a younger age. There is some learning involved. Some people can go through and they don't understand completely, or they have. I mean, you can have your own child turn on you, and you think you did everything right, and you probably did. And it just has to do with society, has to do with that child. It's called the black sheep. It's a part of thing that happens ultimately in families. But again, going back to that, we still know she does want to reach out. She might not have the tools to understand that. She might be having a difficulty dealing with that with her own kids. And that is going to be your opportunity to train, wrong word, not train, to teach and show by example the grandkids and your daughter how it's to be done while you're still here on earth. If anything, that's what's something they'll remember. It might be tough, and it probably will be, and there'll be some words exchanged and energy exchanged, but ultimately, this is something you're gonna probably have to do if this means something to you.
Right. Okay, will do.
It's a tough thing, right? But I'm telling you, I
Yes.
feel it on her end. I don't have to show you the card again, but the feeling is I want to connect, but the arrows aren't landing. Remember that I showed you the arrows are not landing. That's telling me the energy, she doesn't understand how to make that amends. It might be just simple as just talking and forgetting like it never happened, and then making a phone call, picking up a phone call, or showing up again, but they don't know. They don't know. Sometimes you have to
Okay,
go a
all
little
right.
above and beyond and prove that and show by example. That's the best teaching way, is to go show by example. They'll remember that, and they'll teach that to the grandkids as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I hope you have a non-eventful next couple of days of weather, because weather's been crazy everywhere here. But I also really hope that you make that connection. I hope that don't be determined. It took us years in some of my family. Unfortunately, I had to wait till my father passed before I made amends with him. But I was able to make amends with my other side of the family very early, and I'm glad I did while they're still alive. That's
Right.
There's a difference there. I'd always choose the other when they're alive, every single time if I could. And that's the battle you have to think. If it's worth it to you, it'll be worth it to be that example. And it's not going to be an easy one.
Okay.
Phyllis, you have a good evening.
Thank you. You too. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Sure. It's a tough pill to swallow, right? I'll be the first one. I've gone through this too. I've had to go through a little example, and I won't call anybody out, but I had two families. I had my personal family that I could not make amends while my father was alive. He's passed now. I've clearly had him come through making amends with me, that I completely forgive him. And I know on my mom's side I've connected to. On the other side, I've had people that are alive and some that are not, and some I've let go, some friends I've let go, some family I'm still holding on to. And there's reasons for that. And I'm glad that those connections are still alive and well, or connected the way they are. And there's always new opportunities to make new friends, and new opportunities to make new acquaintances. Even though I've been married over 30 years with my wife, I'm still always looking for that friend of a guy that we go hang out and do things together. I'm still looking for that comrade at work, or that team member that we get along and see things on a business level. There's always the want of that connection, and any part of your life. It doesn't have to just be family. And always look for those opportunities that are available. Always look for an opportunity to make amends if you can. And remember, there are going to be some that you still have to let go and just not return to, because you might not be capable of doing it emotionally or physically or monetarily at this point. Some things they just keep repeating, and it's above and beyond something that you could do. So I will close with saying, please, if you'd like to continue this conversation on a reading level, you can go to www.mynamesototarot.com, where I have my Facebook. I'm very open around on Facebook, and very fluent around on some of the other social medias as well. But you can always get a hold of me, friend me, and talk about tarot, things of that nature. I do free readings like this, but I also do very inexpensive readings on sototarot.com. And if you like my cards, you can look at Soto Tarot. You can look at gamecrafter.com/games/Soto Tarot. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day, a better evening, and a wonderful night as well. Take care.